might pull back. And I have a perfect example with FUBO. So essentially, the stock will go up higher and higher until it starts consolidating. Once it consolidates, then it finds a point, only unless there's no news to help catalyze the stock to go upward. Once it's finished with this consolidation, it starts to break down and go lower. And we'll see that also on the reverse side, right? So on the actual reverse, we'll see that after a stock has come off its lows, if you will look from here, and it came all the way down, all the way to its lows, and once it's down at its lows, then it starts consolidating again, right? And it's at this point we should be able to clearly be able to identify where support and resistance is, essentially where your demand and your supply. And we're going to see that once again with like GameStop, some of these heavily shorted stocks. After it's finished consolidating, then we'll see that hey, it will go up higher. And once it goes up higher, we're always looking for the higher lows and the higher highs. Once you have the higher highs, or well, as I have this cursor right here, we're looking at the low. This low is, your past history shows that there was a previous low. Once you start seeing higher highs forming and then higher lows, then you can start identifying if you're buying in a range that allows you to find least amount of downside risk, so you can be able to increase your upside reward. So that's what we always want to look for. And in a lot of these patterns, we're looking for not just one-to-one risk reward, but we're looking for 1 to 2, 3, and maybe even 4, which I think that most of us have found that this past week, last week. So what's coming up this week? We have a lot of earnings, as I said at the very beginning. We're going to start off Monday with Thermo Fisher. Thermo Fisher, of course, does a lot of the distribution of these pharmaceuticals that we're going to be entering in with these vaccines. As you can tell, vaccines have probably expanded even much, much more farther than we could ever think of. As in BBBY, they have figured out a way that they're going to start distributing vaccines. So we're going to see, foreign powers who have economic backing to move vaccines. But that's just one portion of the topic that we'll be speaking about today. Obviously, there's more healthcare companies that will be coming out with earnings as well. With like Pfizer. Pfizer has been the biggest one that everyone was really hoping and putting all their time and energy into, and thinking that it will probably be about $50 right now, but it's still around $37 a share. So we'll see what they will say during their earnings call Tuesday morning. Also, Biogen doing the same thing. AbbVie, Humana, Boston Scientific. So we see all the ones that are like highlighted in green are along with the healthcare stocks. So we got Merck and Bristol Myers that's going to be doing some stuff, and of course Regeneron. Because I know that a lot of people are, particularly Fitz, who's also on the call, are looking at how to use CRISPR or genetic, or anything that's dealing with the mRNA programming of making vaccines. A lot of us are looking at what Regeneron might do when it comes to how they can manipulate protein synthesis with mRNA, not just what Pfizer and Moderna has to say about it. Also, just to round it up, we talked about pharmaceuticals now. Next, we'll think about communications. We have Sirius. Sirius will be coming out with their earnings on Tuesday morning as well. I don't think that they're going to be a very big player when it comes to communications, but I feel like it will start to send a trend of how communications will go once we start going into some of these, social media apps. So as you can see, Snap and Pinterest has earnings coming out on Thursday and once the market closes. So the way that the market has been moving with Reddit and Section 230, because Section 230 really hasn't given any type of resolution of what direction we might be heading to when it comes to how people can manipulate societal behavior, essentially, because that's what all of this is. It's a market where mayhem is being caused, and once this mayhem causes, it can you drive up the value of so many different stocks, obviously, because everything is so frothy now. It can drive up the volume of, drive up the price of stocks that are not worth the price that they're worth. That's why when we see stocks that go up 300, 400% on a day, we also see the crash that happens right behind it, because that's what's going to happen. Right. So, these are some of the stocks that I believe that we should really pay close attention to when it comes to communications and pharmaceuticals. Also, I didn't highlight Qualcomm because obviously they should be doing something, I believe, with semiconductors as well. And, since they don't no longer are with Apple anymore when it comes to anything that they do with their processing, we'll see how they really bring in revenue on their own. So I'm pretty sure that they've been fine, but Apple, they had good earnings, but all their earnings failed. And that's another thing. People who are in these stocks and they buy them before the earnings actually release is probably the worst idea. We went over last week with Starbucks, and I said, last week, you probably shouldn't buy this because the way that the chart even looks, that it was going to go down, and it did go down. So, I will always say be careful before buying any stocks when their earnings are about to release. Wait for the release to happen and then start to look for an idea of where you want to buy in, particularly if they have good earnings. So fundamental analysis always says it tells you what to buy. Technical analysis tells you where to buy. So that's the biggest difference. And don't sleep on GoPro. GoPro is doing something behind the scenes. I'm not really sure what, but I know that they have been uptrending in their chart. And I like to end in with this quote: "Many embody one in mind." A lot of times, when we think alike or we think in one path, it's easier to accomplish a goal. The goal really here is to empower not only our individual selves, but our families and our local communities, right? We want to be able to make sure that we use the funds that we gain from trading into something that's positive, right? We don't want to just to use it frivolously. Obviously, we should be able to have some fun with the success that we've created, but at the same time, still, once we gather, the funds, really look at opportunities where you can make an impact in your with your family or in your community. So, with that being said, I think that we can go right into a lot of these stocks. We'll go straight into the chart. I believe the chart always tells us what's happening and what's not happening. And I said that we'll start with the Dow Jones, right? So with the Dow Jones, we see first and foremost on this all-time history chart that it looks like, as it finally loads up. First and foremost, it closed below 30,000 on Friday. I've been suggesting for quite a couple of weeks now that the stock, or at least the Dow, should be coming back down. How is it going to play an integral part in the overall market? We can be able to tell how Reddit manipulates or dictates the way that things move. But the way that this stock chart price or this indicator looks like right now is that this is a bearish engulfing candlestick pattern. Typically, when you have a very bearish candlestick, a green candlestick to try to do a bounce, and then one that follows on a heavy down day like we had on Friday, we might have, a down Monday. I just don't know how down it will be. And if we use the other indicators, and yes, let's orient ourselves first and foremost, because we use these indicators to really dictate the movement or the direction that a stock can go. So we're going to orient ourselves. This green line here is an exponential moving average. It's actually on 9 days. Some of us tend to use 5 days. Some of us tend to use 9 days. Either way, it's a great indicator to let you know when a stock is going to go up higher. When it's trading above this EMA, the stock tends to go higher. This teal line is the 20 simple moving average. So on the 20-day simple moving average, it's supposed to be a future indicator of what the price might be in the next 20 days. Not all the time it happens that way. The same thing with the exponential moving average, but when you use these averages, it gives you an idea of what price that you can get in between or close to the exponential moving average. Because once the stock starts trading below the exponential moving average, then 9 times out of 10, it's going to test the 20 simple day moving average price. And then if it's trading below the 20 simple moving average price, then it goes to its red line, which is a 200-day simple moving average. So now that this Dow is trading below not only the 9 EMA and the 20 SMA, the next price that it has to test is the 200 SMA. I am not suggesting that it's going to come down to 27,000. However, I believe that there is a strong indication that it could. Maybe it will test 28,000 before it does that. Maybe it will test the actual 29,000 mark first, trying to find some type of stability. But the way that the market has been going, I feel that everything is very frothy, and this gives us an opportunity to protect on the downside. To even further support what I just said, the VIX. The VIX is used as a fear indicator. It measures volatility, right? And the volatility is the amount of actual volume of money flowing into the market. So as we can tell, this past, I say about 13 months or so, the last time that we had a high spike in volatility was back in March. And we know at the end of February going into March, that's when the coronavirus was starting to happen and a lot of other economic and, later on social problems starting to happen. So as we see that the market came down during that March time, and it was the volatility was above the 200 SMA, it's starting to find itself showing the same type of indication currently today. That we're having the volatility trade above the 200 SMA, which could test back what happened towards the beginning of November, where the election time period was happening, or back in September when I think this was job claims were a little bit higher than necessary. So, we're testing volatility. So I would just say, just be careful, however that you're entering into the market, that, if you always want to test onto the downside. I know I didn't give you much indication about the other indicators below it, which is the MACD, which measures the momentum of a stock or index, and a RSI, which is the relative strength index. So that lets us know if a stock position is either overbought or oversold when it comes down below here. And then we have the TTM squeeze. This TTM squeeze gives us an indication of when there is consolidation that happens, which is these red dots and the histograms all coming along the center line, which is 0. And then once it starts to cross above, that's usually a positive bullish indicator. If it crosses below, that's a bearish downside indicator. Right now, we're seeing that on the TTM squeeze, it's also coming up, which it gives us a bearish indication, but typically on the VIX, if it goes up, that means that the stock market will find some volatility on the downside. So that's my spiel, like in the way the direction of the market is going. I think that I shall open it up first and foremost to see, what or anything that people have to say. Maybe we want to start it off with GameStop, because I think that's what everyone really, really wants to hear about. Anybody have any questions?
I do. I saw people say last week about like the hedge fund thing.
Yes.
About how basically people bought a bunch of stocks and it caused the hedge fund to have to liquidate, I guess.
Correct.
Can you explain that in layman's terms, please?
So, all right. So essentially what happened is that you'll have a lot of these brokerages, especially the ones that are free, they have money, but the only thing is the issue is with the clearinghouse. So the clearinghouse says that that you don't have enough money to actually allow people to cash out. So you will have to like borrow money. That's what Robinhood had to do. What happens is that these brokerage companies, they are betting against the stock. And what happens, and I know I usually harp on when we do research, like what we're actually looking for when we're doing research. So I'll show you um, when what people actually were looking for when they went into not only FUBO, but when they went into AMC and GameStop. So, which silver is the next thing that should be spiking up, apparently, according to Reddit. Everyone loves silver now. So, what happens is that you'll look at short floats. All right. So, this short flow is 121%. How in the hell can you have 100? So, the float is 50 million, right? I like stocks that are trading with a float around 50 million because you can get this spike. These spikes can occur when you have short floats like at 10%, 5%, and the volume is good. But when a stock has a short float that is almost twice the amount of shares available, it makes people wonder, particularly people who have backing, because they're betting that this stock does not even deserve to exist. Essentially, that's what the hedge funds are doing. So when you have these companies that are around, they're there to particularly to to keep the markets even. When they don't have enough money to bet against the stock, they either have to close out their position, which is buying back shares. So that's what they're doing. When they bet against the stock, it's called a short position. So in the short position, they're essentially borrowing money from the bank, and they're saying, hey, I'm going to borrow this money to have these amount of shares to bet against this stock. The bank charges them a percentage. Depending on the bank, each bank has their own percentage. Some say they're smaller than others. I don't know. I don't short sell, but I like to see what short sellers are looking at, so it gives me an idea of what to almost stay away from or possibly get into. Anyway, because that they're getting this percentage from the bank, now they have this like extra liquidity to really bet against the stock. Once the stock continues to go down and down and down, they make money. But when the stock price spikes up, which tends to happen, obviously they lose money. So they'll either have to close out their position by buying back the shares. That's just the reverse now. So they buy back in their position, and that allows them to close out the money that they had that was liquid while they had the open position. So they no longer have a position. Um, at the end of the day, when you have these hedge funds that have to all close out their positions because more and more and more people are shooting the stock price up, now that all these 121% of the people are, of these shares that are being bet against the stock have to continue closing and closing and closing, and the price continues to go higher and higher and higher because of the sheer volume, because the sheer volume of people that's coming in. Like this stock doesn't trade this much, 49 million, 49. It doesn't do this. But on average, it has been doing that because, and I'll go back to the chart so you can see, essentially, in the past, you know, I was in this like beforehand. I need to go back to my notes, but back oh, this is December. All right, let me zoom out a little bit and then zoom back in. So right around here, October, that's when I was in this stock. And I'm looking at, okay, it had earnings. After earnings, it did well. And remember when I said about the exponential moving average, where the stock price, if it's trading above it, it will continue to go higher. The minute it trades below it, it will retest the 20. So at least you have a gauge in price of understanding, seeing the difference, right? And how this read the bounce. But because of how the short sellers work, it would bring the price down almost every time. This is now in November, right before the real holiday season, and it's going higher. But there are days that it just would not hold. And because it wouldn't hold, um, a lot of us, like me, I know I got out. I was in overstock. I got out. But you know, how could you? I couldn't predict this. You know, now that I look at the chart, like yes, it's clear as day. Like there's, you know, the TTM squeeze, which is a very good indicator if you haven't used, but the TTM squeeze, once it starts crossing and staying above the zero line, which it did after you know, December 21st, this is the 22nd, it stayed above the zero line. It gave us a teal histogram. It gave us positive green days, like volume buying days. It was slightly overbought. The momentum was going into the green side. Like even the trading was above the 5 EMA. So it was giving indications, right? But what tends to happen with me is that I always get into a stock way too early, and then I sell like, oh, I made $4 a share. While meanwhile, 3 days later, it went up another $100, $200. That tends to happen. But this is not an anomaly. This happens all the time. Um, and that's just how the markets work. That's just how the markets work. Like you'll see a short squeeze like that, you'll always go back to what the actual statistics of the company. When you go back to the statistics of the company, this is the statistics. You see, okay, short float. Man, do I want to really be in this? Because you know that they can pile on, especially if there's no news. There's news behind GameStop. So because there's news behind GameStop and everyone's rallying against the stock market machine, you know, it's gonna go up higher. But I would tell you this: if we're not ready for a K-shaped recovery, and if you're not certain what a K-shaped recovery is where it actually looks like a K, where people are starting in the center, and then you know people who are in the center either go economically decline down or economically incline up, and that's the K, or that's the legs of the K, I should say, or the back. And if you start from that center, if we are here in the market, and if we are not implementing the right tools that help us profit, you can either, you know, uptrend, you know, nice and steady, or downtrend nice and steady. That's the K. So this is where you'll have these short floats. Be wary, understand that short floats are great, or great when you have a high percentage, but it needs to have volume. If it's a stock that has a relatively small float, like 50 million, 40 million, 20 million, that's even better because these stocks can spike. This is not an anomaly. I just knew that I wasn't going to get in because it ran up already. If I wasn't in it, I'm not chasing money. If I missed it, I missed it. There's going to be another one. And that happened. I'll show you FUBO. And FUBO. So I know we had a discussion about this last week, and this is the actual stock price chart. I should actually get the actual contract out that I had. But essentially with FUBO, it has the same type of percentage when it comes to the short. There's a lot of shorts available that want to bet against the stock. Because they want to bet against the stock, they are looking for you need volume. And when I say they, it's us as retail retail traders. Essentially, they're trying to say not to call us retail traders, but essentially looking for a way for the stock to continue to go up higher. I bought FUBO $50 calls. Share it back. Sorry about that. There we go. So this is what FUBO looks like. Like I said, long-term chart. If you can look at it long-term, you see it's trading above the exponential moving average. That green line has been trading above that the whole time. So it was bound to retest this spike. Uh, so when I got in, I essentially I bought some on this day, and this is not the first time I bought it. I bought it a couple of times. This is the last contract that I had, and I had to recover from the $1 loss that I was like, oh my god, that's crazy. So because it pulled back, and I sold because I knew it was going to continue to pull back. So I needed it to balance out first before I can get back in. And that's a lot of times that's all it is just waiting and being patient, right? If I bought originally, if I bought the contract on this day, this strong green day, that's usually a good indicator right there. You know, if I bought on that time, maybe I could have made some profit there. But if I also did a deeper dive into the actual chart and looked at the MACD, there wasn't a real cross that happened between the strong green day and this day. So it was only inevitable that the price would go down, right? So me holding and hoping was uh was a fool's game. So cut my loss, wait for it to find the bottom, which it did. It found the bottom, and then when it found the bottom, I bought in. I bought in here. I think I sold some by accident before selling the rest of my positions here at $8.06. Let me zoom in a little bit. But that is the key part. Like I was buying back here, and this is like I said. This when I write my book is going to say, "Why did I sell too soon?" Because that's what I tend to do. I tend to sell too soon, and I do that all the time with these plays. Even though it was damn near what, like $7 up on the upside, it's still like I could have made another $8, right? But I don't trust the markets, right? It was already overbought. There's no reason for me to test anything else. What else do I need to test? I'm up in my position. I know it's going to come down. Do I need to really test to see how high it's going to go? No, just take the profits and then run. If it goes up higher, whoop de do. All right, catch it when it comes back on the bottom because they run all these stocks run on a wave. They do
So
the
I
same
have a
thing
question.
all the time.
So how come you didn't use the RSI? And I see you use the RSI as your measure to sell off, but how come you didn't use the MACD to help assist with that?
With this one, yeah. So when the markets open, and this is the one thing that I have to get used to when it comes to option contracts, you don't get a price immediately when the stock is already trading during the closed market hours. When the market opens at 9 a.m., now the contract prices are trying to configure, like they're trying to match up to wherever the stock price is. So never really know I never really know what the price is going to really be, right? So only way that I can figure it out is by going back and doing an analysis on, well, why did I sell too soon? So here on this one, let's go back. Sorry, it was more. It was a couple more days, 5 days. So here, when the market opened, you see how it spiked. You see how it spiked right here.
Yes.
So it spikes right here. It's already overbought on the RSI. So the only thing that I can think of is now that it's spiked up so high is that it's going to come back down, which it did. It came down to 690. And then from there it bounced, which I typically say, right? It's going to bounce off the 20 SMA. And then once it bounces off the 20 SMA, you know, it should trade up higher. So what I could have done was sold it once the market opened, wait for it to pull back, then buy, at support, and then ride the wave up. But at the same time, once that market opens and you have the stock jump up so high, it's not a guarantee that the stock will continue to move forward. And nor did I know that FUBO was even on the Reddit list at the time. I had no idea. I was just like, it has a good chart. I'm gonna hold it for a couple of days. I bought into it early the first time, but I'll hold it. I've held it from that Thursday, Friday, and then Monday it jumped. So so that's why I didn't continue following it, just because I wasn't sure if it was going to continue tanking due to the amount of short shortable shares. And we'll go to FUBO and I'll show you their technicals when it comes to the shortable shares. I think it was like 20 or 25. Oh, 75, sorry. Must be confusing with another one. So 75%. So I already knew there was going to be like a rack of people trying to like push this price down. But because I know that, hey, it's a relatively, I don't know why I'm thinking 20, but could be AMC. I don't know. But being that there's so many shortable shares available already, I already knew like, hey, I might as well just take my profits now. Why should I wait until, lunchtime? Which is a perfectly good strategy if I have known about Reddit, what they were doing. I knew about Reddit, but I didn't know what they were doing with the Wall Street Bets group. So, you know, that happened with FUBO. I missed out on another $8 on the upside, but that's fine. We'll think I could show you the same thing with WWE. That was another play that I had this past week. First and foremost, let's go to their statistics page. I'll show you once again. And it's not because like I like wrestling, because I watch wrestling. I do watch it. I like to see how they develop their characters, and usually the things that they say on there is something that is happening in society already, maybe with some racial undertones. So I'm trying to figure out what they're doing and maybe how does it, mirror rest of society. So if we look at the actual share float, it's 46 million. This is good for me. This is like my sweet spot. I like that. The shortable shares, 14, 15%. I don't mind that. I can hold this for a couple of days. We see what it's been doing already. And this is another thing to really spot is that, hey, it's been up, not just for the day, maybe for the week, but for the quarter, it's been up. What has it been doing? And typically when you have a stock that has, high percentages like this, day after day, week after week, month after month, oftentimes they're coming up to earnings, which now goes back to earnings. So when we go to earnings and we see that, hey, this company has earnings coming up, what's going to happen, and what typically has been happening is that every time when a stock or a company comes out with earnings, they come out with earnings and no matter how good or bad it is, recently how good it's been, it will come back down. This is WWE. They have earnings coming out on the 4th. That's, I know that wasn't on the list, but I knew that they had earnings coming out. What tends to happen with a lot of these stocks is that when they do have good earnings, the stock will come down. So I'm waiting for this stock to pull back down. Maybe it pulls back to 50 to the $50 area, maybe $49, and then just buy it, wait for it to bounce, and then let it go higher, because this, once again, is trading above the 200 SMA. Now, this is why the stock market is so multi-layered. There's so many moving parts that you have to pay attention to. It's trading over the 200 SMA. Anytime a stock is trading over the 200 SMA, that's like the first indication that it's going to go higher. Like one of the first. It's like, oh, you're trading over the 200 SMA. Did he even do that in his history? Like we can go back into his history and we see that back here, back in 2000, this is 2017, but it was really back here in 2016. They're just trading right above that 200 SMA and then continue to go higher, throughout, what is this? This is 2000, still 17 to 2018, where it made an all-time high in April of 2018. So, that's a good indication, right? And we can even see it here. It went up high. It was overbought, right? It crossed down on the MACD. It crossed down on the moving averages, and it tested 200 SMA. Has to test the 200 SMA, right? Maybe if it doesn't hold previous support, or if it holds previous support, which would have been back here, it would have bounced higher, but it didn't. It didn't test that previous support at $67. It broke down, went to $61 before going back to $100. This happens all the time. This is, some of these moves, these cataclysmic moves that we've been seeing with AMC, which, you know, I know that there's a couple of people that were in this stock when it spiked, so I know that they're happy. Congratulations. Like you see these spikes, you know, it's trading above the 200 SMA. So I am at dire wits now because I already know that this is a company that their executives on Monday could say that they're going to put in a price offering, right, and then bring the stock back down to $4 because their company is failing right now. They are bleeding money, right? So this was another way that everyone was able to help from Wall Street Bets on Reddit to help this stock, right? Maybe this stock stays at $20 a share. It's not like it wasn't there before. It was I think in the $50 before, like years, you know, not years ago, but not too far. Yeah, it was $34 a share back in 2014. So it's not like it hasn't been a profitable company. It's just that it's fallen on hard economic times. So you're going to get that with AMC, Bed Bath and Beyond. That was another one. Same float, everything. You know, they came out with earnings. I don't even know if their earnings was even good. I can't even tell you that. Like, oh, it seemed like no, they actually did not. They were estimated to get 20 cents a share. They only made 8 cents a share. So they still put out bad earnings, right? As far as on the numbers, you know, indication, but the stock price still went up, right? That's why I always say, just wait for the earnings to come out because we don't know what's going to really happen. But as you can tell, it took some time for it to like bubble up. And if we look at the actual chart pattern, it just started to break out. It made breakouts right here at $21. And if we were paying attention to this one, I know I wasn't, but if I came back and revisited a Bed Bath and Beyond, you know, I could have probably made some money off of this one because it has all of the classic signs. And you see all the indicators right there, the moving averages, the MACD, the RSI, like it came overbought, then it came back down, then just to go up higher. Then you look at the TTM squeeze. The squeeze is even saying that it's going higher. Every time when you have these green little balls on the zero line and then the teal histograms that are above the zero line, it suggests that the price should go higher, and it did, right? So, you know, these indicators have been like quintessential for to give me an understanding of where the direction of a stock could go, if it can go up or go down. Sometimes I freak myself out and be like, oh, it's not going to go up higher, and then it goes up higher. And sometimes I you know, have a confirmation bias where I think a stock is going to bounce after it dropped, but you know, I am trying to force the indicators to tell me something different than what it actually is saying. So, you know, really use these indicators if you can as a price, you know, mechanism to really understand, like, okay, if the EMA, whether it's the 5 or the 9 day EMA, is at $36.30. That's what it says over here, right? If you look on the y-axis, you see that green bubble, 36.30. Now that's what that price says right now. So we're going to test this, right? Maybe this might happen during the week, and then we can come back next week and say, oh shit, it did come back to that price, right? So the 20 SMA, it says, if you look at the teal bubble on the y-axis, it says $26.44. Maybe it comes halfway between that $36.30 and that $26.44. So we start thinking, okay, well, what's a price in between? Maybe $30. Okay, maybe I put in an alarm, right? This is how you don't have to stay in front of your computer all day. You set an alarm. You say, okay, I want my price to be $30. Well, if it tests $30, let's see if it comes to at least below. Comes to at least below $30. Let's say 30.50. All right.
So Jermaine, could you also show us how do you do your scanners, if it's possible?
Yes. I could do that right now, actually. I'm glad you asked. So that's how, like, you can find it. What's up?
Yeah. Can I say something?
Please, by all means.
You remember last week I was saying to you that Bed Bath and Beyond AMC costs game stock, none of them use fundamentals. It was all about sentiments,
Right.
because I didn't know, I had no idea about AMC. All I know that I buy a call. I bought a call earlier in the week before the $3 call, then I sold it, and then I bought the $5 call. And I didn't know more than Monday morning when I wake up, it was like almost $21. So it, as you're showing the fundamentals, but these stock is just based on sentiments. They are not operating by fundamentals, because what they did, what the guys discover is that these people who are shorting the stock, they overshort it, and people are buying them not knowing that these hedge fund has been shorting them so much. And when they discover that they do that, then they gang up and pile in. Everybody just buy until they couldn't hold the pressure no more, because there was no more stock to short.
Correct.
And when the pressure started to hit them, they automatically had to sell, and this is why the price go up.
Correct.
But one of the problems that I had now, as I always say, I had the problem with E-Trade. E-Trade would never let me in when the market opened. So I couldn't sell mine until when it come down to about $11.
Gosh.
That's what they did to us on Monday.
Damn.
So they basically take back half of the money that we're supposed to make. All first of all, when it opened, it was saying that I was negative. My account was negative.
Oh wow.
Remember, the price was almost $21.
Correct.
Pre-market, and I had the five strike, and it is saying that my account, I had to call my wife and say, look here, look at that. I've been telling you about E-Trade all the time. Look at that. It showed that my gain on AMC was negative. And so, okay, I say, you know what? I'm gonna log off and log on back to see if because I have this problem with them. All I tried to log on, I could never go on until maybe about 15 minutes after.
You should have took screenshots of everything, because that's hopefully all of this goes to some type of class action case.
I told him all the time, and they telling me about is my computer.
Nah, you're gonna have, that's because they didn't want people probably taking screenshots and stuff, because you need proof at the end to have a case.
Yes, so I lose a few $100 because of the way they operated.
And you're not alone on that. I think there's
No.
there's a lot of these brokerage firms. They don't have, like, we think that the money is already going to be there, but that clearinghouse is so key. That's the one part that when people say, I know we discussed it last week where we talked about Robinhood or Acorns are good, like, investment tools. I love Acorns. I use Acorns. They have a card. I use their debit card. I like the investment tool that they have. I like Robinhood. I think that Robinhood also has a lot of flaws. There's a whole lot of flaws in it. So you can't really like put all your faith into it. And we can see why. Like they have to ask for money to help with the liquidation efforts that they had. It's like you going on your spring break vacation, you go to Atlanta and then you say, okay, I'm gonna go to Miami. And then, you realize that you still have 2 more days. So you decide that, hey, maybe you might go to DC, right? And then you're like, during that whole 7-day excursion, you're like, shit, I have no more money. I need to call my mother or my father so they can help me out. That is what Robinhood is doing right now. They have no idea how to actually be able to get money back to their core base, right?
But
so that's what people are trying to like find another broker.
That's one side of the story. But what I heard on the other side is that the same company, Citadel and those guys, had some association with Robinhood.
Of course.
And what they do, they are involved with Robinhood in some way. So maybe they were the one who
I heard their involvement comes
who
from
talked to Robinhood to tell them to do that they can save some money because of the hit that they got, because they overshot the stock. How can you overshot a stock over 100%, 130, 35%? How can you do that? All of it is their fault.
Citadel fulfills the tickets for Robinhood investors.
Right.
That's what they do.
Melvin I said Melvin Flint. Melvin Capital is who does business with Robinhood.
Robinhood, yeah.
Citadel does business with Melvin.
Melvin Capital, yeah.
So,
So
they was just protecting their interests at the end of the day.
yeah, at the end of the day, through Robinhood, and maybe E-Trade too. One of the things that happened. If one of the funny thing about this thing is that these guys cry like a baby.
Yeah.
I can't believe it. These guys they find everybody on the station to talk. They cry like baby because they lose the one day.
Not just one day.
They just yeah, they cry like baby. And
Melvin lost 50% of his income, man.
yeah, but have you ever cried when you lost?
Well, I never lost $53 billion.
Facts.
Okay, so
I never lost half my house yet, so I don't know.
I lost some time and I would just walk away and tell myself that it didn't happen. I didn't cry. I didn't
Sure
cry.
enough, yeah, you're right.
Okay, but these guys cry for the entire week like a big baby.
Mm-hmm.
Because the one day somebody's able to pay off this the school loan because of them, they cry like a baby because it should not be so. They are the one who's supposed to do that.
Which is
because
crazy.
they've been calling us idiots that we don't know what we're doing. We're just paper. We just come to give them our money.
Well, the only part of that you can really kind of I see where they come in and have to do that though, because all right, let's say Tom, Dick, and Harry make these billions of dollars.
Yeah.
Who is going to run these clearinghouses and these firms after the money is just taken out of it? You know what I'm saying? Everything gets shut down.
You're sorry for them.
I ain't sorry for them. I just understand the hierarchy, how business has to run. Has to be somebody.
I mean, there's also a danger to the whole shit. So I mean, things can get totally fucked up.
Right.
Okay. Well,
I'm on our side.
Yes, because what happened? The one week not gonna do these guys nothing. The one week not gonna do these guys nothing. They play the game and the game turn against them. They overplay their hand and the game turn against them. You know, and so on. That is why some of these stuff that we buy don't move, because they are the one who have been shorting it and it can't pass a certain number because they are the one who have been pushing every time they go up, they push them down back. You know, and this is what happened, and the brokers joined with them too. And then,
but don't also. I don't want to be fooled. Also, I believe there's some institutional buyers that tagged along.
Yeah, they were a part of it. I know.
Yeah,
because they try to kill one another, and it's like a Shark Tank.
They're the ones that's moving the whole Reddit stream.
They knocking people out.
Yeah. Well, then the next target is silver, SLV.
That's right.
SLV. That's the target for tomorrow.
That is the next target. Okay, so let's analyze the chart. Right, we see that it's ETF first and foremost.
Yeah.
So if you're not familiar with ETFs, they traded a whole lot faster than mutual funds. Right, they're using volatility, right, to make the stock move. Even if we look at the actual pattern, right, and we were looking at the pattern from the beginning, right, that is doing it's doing a little consolidation, right, after it made this monumental move after crossing the 200 SMA. First and foremost, crossed over there, went to a high of like $28, then pulled back, consolidated a bit, pulled back, consolidated a bit. Now we see this part from the Wyckoff method, right? I don't know if this looks familiar to everybody. Should I go back to make sure that we all can see the same thing? If we go back to this Wyckoff method, we see that this consolidation right here that's going on after that pullback. Now that when we go back to the chart, we see the same thing here, right? It consolidated, pull back, consolidated, hitting this resistant, now support at $23 and starting to move up higher. So like, now that we're looking at this and we see that the moving averages are crossing here, like around $24.30. And this is mentioning like the fundamentals. I am not a fundamental guy. Fundamentals to me is looking at the balance sheet, looking at the income statement. Trust me, I'll look at that, particularly if I need to look at the SEC statement, which you
No, man, I don't mean the
always look at
fundamental.
the
Sorry,
SEC.
it's a technical.
Yeah, I always look at the
It's not
technical.
I like the technical. This look good. This
Yeah,
one look good.
this looks amazing. We
Yeah.
it's not overbought yet. It's like just right slightly above halfway, that 50. The TTM squeeze hasn't squeezed over the zero line yet, but tomorrow I anticipate being a monumental green day. Like I don't know, like it should pull back 24. And this is how we do it. And I know Kareem, you asked about how to do a scan, and we're going to get into that. But I want to make sure that we just kind of like break down looking at where a good price might be, right? Because I like when I look at long term, I like looking at not only the whole chart, like a historical chart, but I also looking at the hour chart, because the hour chart gives me an idea if it has an opportunity to already be overbought. Because if it's overbought on the hour, at some point during the subsequent hours, the price is going to pull back, right? So here already, this chart looks great. We've seen this pattern, this little W formation here, right? This W is formed, bouncing off the, it's above the 9. The only thing is, it hasn't crossed here yet on the MACD. It's curling up on RSI, but on our chart, the TTM squeeze is coming down. Now, there are times where you have this royal blue histogram, and it will continue to trade red on the x-axis, but then turn green, right? Like it did over here. Like it was red, then turn green. Okay, now we're preparing for some more buying. Even though people are kind of selling the position, people are buying those selling positions. So it's keeping it strength. So that's one. That's make sure that you like understand the histograms on TTM squeeze. It gives you an idea that hey, the selling pressure is dying or the buying pressure is dying. And here the buying pressure is dying on the hour. So what has been happening, and Fitz, I know you can attest to this. 4 a.m. People on their Webull accounts. I know James, you can attest to this too. People already on their Webull accounts buying the stock. This is going to be at like $25 when you wake up in the morning at 5. Well, depending on what time you wake up. I wake up at 5:36, but like around that time, it's going to be around $25 because of what Wall Street bets are saying. So how can you protect yourself on the downside? I would say wait. If it is by $25 or $26, look to see if it breaks that 25.50 area first. If it breaks, then you can buy the breakout. That's a strategy that people have been doing for the test of time. You bought the breakout right here, like when it happened right here, you would have been up, right? It would have still came back down, right? So you probably wouldn't have been up as much as you would have before it went overbought, but you still be up. It pulls back. You want that wave because it bounce and then go higher. So that's one way. Wait to see first if it breaks the 25.50.
Yo, Joe, you gotta get JoJo.
Who was that? Oh,
You gotta mute that mic, JoJo B.
My bad. I thought it was muted.
So that's why I say, let's wait to see if it can break that 25. But if it doesn't break that 25 and it comes back to the moving averages, the 9 and the 20, it's going to give a chance to test the 24 support area. I'm not saying it's going to come back to the 20 or the 200 SMA. I'm saying it's going to come back to support. the support at $24.30. That's right here. And if we go back in the time, we can see that it held support over here, held support over here, even broke out over here. So you can see that that's also a breakout point. Kind of did a fake out breakout here before holding that price point and then went up higher. So that's how you can identify that, okay, back in time, that was also a price that held either support or some type of resistance. So that's always good to, well, let's move that out the way. That's always good to have. So I would say if we wake up in the morning and it already broke $25.50, see if it can hold that support after it breaks. But if it cannot hold that support, like, you know, be careful, like, because it could still run down, right? I don't know the liquidity on this because when I went to go look on this statistical chart, it wasn't telling me anything as far as you know, how many shares that it had available. I'll show you here. It'll let me share it. There we go. That's SLV. Oops. So when we look here, right, we see nothing. So I don't know what's going on with how many outstanding shares, what the float is, none of that. So it's harder for me to really get
where SLV?
Yes.
Oh.
So it's harder for me to really get a good analysis of it, other than the news that it has, and you know, that's it. Like, you know, the news that it has, which I love FinViz with its news because it has a lot more news oftentimes.
Okay, try market beat. Market beat.
Market B.
Yeah. So we can get any information there because that's where.
Market B.
Yeah, market beat. A lot of people get the information from there.
Sweet.
Market beat.
All right.
Yeah, put the information at the top there.
So great. So the last volume it had, well, the average volume was 46 million. So it's already trading what, almost 3 times its average volume. Its market cap is 15 billion. So that would
Put in float. Maybe you can get information there.
I'm looking to see if there's fundamental stuff. Nope. Where you don't have it on here. Symbol. Nope. I don't see float size. Let's
type it in right there at it right there where beat the beat there. Let's see.
Because you know I'm already on the page, right?
Yeah.
So you're saying it's going to go somewhere else? Yeah. See, it's just going to tell me to come here. And so when it's coming to the float, yeah, I don't know what it would be.
It'll show you anything.
Right there. Yeah, it should be
Own institutional ownership. No. Option chain. All these pop-ups.
Yeah.
Because it would be like right around here, I would think.
the play smaller.
Chart option, social media.
About 1 point. He beat you by 1 point, Riley.
Let's try Yahoo. You know, I'm not a big Yahoo finance person. As far as their stats. On their profile. But yeah, I know it's silver. Oh, come on, it's not even loading. Silver should be doing something. Yeah, I'm not catching it because that's where it would be here. It'll be under the profile.
Okay, so they're hiding it then.
Yeah, no,
Game's
this is
over.
where the actually biggest comes into play.
Yeah, silver people are all crooks.
We were talking about it on CNBC like on Thursday, how apparently someone on Reddit said that there's no reason why that price of silver should be at the price that it is at $24. And I was like, oh shit, I didn't even know it came up to $29. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay, so this is why the hour chart is important. I'm thinking it was
Look at that. Look
yeah.
at that. Look at that.
So, but it's still overbought. So this is the thing here. So
Sentiment, sentiment,
Oh, it's all
sentiment,
sentiment.
always sentiment, but even when you have
sentiment.
sentiment, know that the market flows. It's going to go up. It's going to go down, because it has that ability to go up and go down. You know, you don't want to just buy at any old place. I feel sorry for the people that bought GameStop at like $500 a share.
Why would you do that? Why would you do that?
Because they don't know. So that's the thing. That's the thing. People will say market sentiment. Oh, just follow the sentiment.
Oh
Yeah,
my
sentiment
gosh.
tells me that I should buy. This is This is the tulip craze all over.
No,
again.
no, no.
I should buy.
But within a 15-minute range, people they still try to make money. Like in 15 minutes or 5 minutes,
Facts.
Okay.
they can get in, get out, and they
Okay.
can make mistakes.
See, you laugh nervously, but that happens.
Yeah. Maybe once upon a time.
Well, for many people, that's going on,
that's going on.
Yeah.
Right now.
and they're
Okay.
trying. They're just trying to get that little bit of whatever, and it's just crazy.
Yeah.
But is really all right, and I understand Wall Street bets. Is that really real sentiment? Because what I can't consider a catalyst is like earnings, R&D project. That's if you truly are investing, that's the type of sentiment you look for, not for
Agreed.
a tip. Yeah, 50 of us are investing, 100,000 of us are investing. That's really not true sentiment at that point.
No, that's
It's
hysteria.
This is their agreed. It's the FOMO.
That's
correct.
That's like there's a great book that talks about this. It's called Markets, Mobs, and Mayhem. Right? And it goes into these sentiments like that this is not a single event. And we're going to see this over and over and over again.
All right. So they say that these hedge funds have a way to have their dinner talk. You see?
Right.
When you buy, just like recently they came out and tell the Palantir doesn't worth more than $10 and FUBO. Yeah, but they came and said that a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
Okay. You see how FUBO went up to $57?
Yep, and I sold it right up.
$58?
I was like,
Okay.
thank you. I'm out.
Okay. So I told that what they want was the shares.
They always want the shares, but that's the thing.
Okay.
There's a flow within the market. So if people
Okay.
buying, like let's say, all right, so like for instance with Palantir, right? Because even I went over my mistake with Palantir last week because I sold it like the day before it was about to spike up because I was holding it already. I was holding it enough, right? But as you when you see when it goes overbought, we don't know if it's going to go overbought, how long it's going to go overbought. But we do know that we have created a new resistance point. So when that new resistance point has been created, particularly in the pre-market hours, now we have to figure out if it's going to cross or if it's not. And if it doesn't show any signs that it's going to cross to go up higher, then you sell. And as you can tell here, like what happened? Like if someone bought up here saying, "Hey, I'm going to buy it because it's going to break resistance," and it doesn't break resistance, you should have a plan of getting out too, because we don't know if market sentiment is that same hysteria that's going to catalyze this stock to maintain higher. Now, we can all agree that Palantir is working with the government is going to want this and that with their security. That's great. But on the flow of the chart says if I bought up here in the pre-market thinking it was going to break out, and the next thing you know, it falls back down. I have no exit strategy. Now I just lost like $5 a share because I'm going based off of euphoria. And that's what makes me nervous. When the euphoria starts coming in, that's when people they're getting greedy and they're going to get slaughtered because they didn't have a full plan. You had half a plan. I'm gonna get in. I get in. All right. What's the plan? You know the plan. Now, people are going to get lucky too. So there's nothing wrong with having sheer luck. Like that's the beauty of the stock market. If you're in that flow and it flows in your direction, that's great. But when people buy GameStop at this insane price pre-market, like if they bought this pre-market 7 in the morning, what did I tell you, right? There's 6 in the morning, 5 in the morning, 4 in the morning. This is 4 in the morning. I was about to cuss. Like this is 4 in the morning right here. And it's moving. So people are like, yes, I'm gonna buy off of hysteria, off of euphoria, and then it comes collapse. Then they have to halt it. This is 112. You can imagine the person who's shitting bricks if they bought it at $400. I can imagine. They're shitting bricks right now, $300 a share because they had no stop loss, they had no nothing.
Nothing. Pig gets fat and the hog gets slaughtered.
That's right. So I want to be a fat pig.
Exactly. Don't get slaughtered, man.
Well, I was just lucky to be in AMC. I didn't buy GameStop because I have no idea what was going on.
Yeah. And I remember when you told me about AMC, and I was like, yo, that's a good, because you were looking at 2022, right? It was
remember that's what I told you.
Right.
Yeah, because I know in the summer they've been getting some funds to keep them going. So in the summer, when people are gonna want to go back to the theater, it doesn't matter how you feel about the virus, people are gonna want to go back. So
exactly,
people are tired of their houses. They want to sit down and put up their foot and eat their popcorn and their ice cream.
Right.
That's when I have no idea this was gonna go on. I just know that it looked good and it's cheap. I'm sorry I didn't buy some more. Although E-Trade would take away half as usual.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's what they did to me.
Like just by the looks of AMC now, it looks like it still has some upside.
You know what I heard? There are a lot of call option. It closed with those call option in the money. So in order for them to close out those call option, those persons who sell those call option Monday, they have to buy back the stock, and it's gonna cause it to go up on Monday.
Yeah. So then there goes more of a squeeze.
Yeah, because a lot of people end up in the money, and they over the weekend, and those who they're gonna have to buy it back.
There's gonna be like 10 stocks that go up tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
it's gonna be moving around from one stock to the other.
This is something that I want to say to you guys, that people are getting smarter now. And these are the things, just like I sit here and I observe my chart until I found out that whenever the stock crosses the 9 and the MACD, sometimes the MACD, the stock price cross over the 9 period moving average, and the MACD cross over the same time, especially if it is right on the 0 line or a little bit above. That's a no-brainer.
Yep.
People sit down and they figure out these things, and that is why they are beating these guys. This is why they're and they figure that because they're hedge fund and they go to they have all of these degrees, financial education, they feel like they know everything, but these are what the guys sit down and figure out.
They don't have all the tools.
Yeah, these are what the little man, all of these young people, they're smart.
The young people figured out that the internet got all the answers.
Of
and they don't have to go to school
and they do the
it.
research. They do the research and they're telling the stuff. And one of the things that hurt them is because they're saying that they are idiots. Especially on
Talk about
CNBC, which they pay all of these guys. All of these guys were so upset that these young people are able to make some money. All they're talking about, they're gonna lose their money. They're gonna lose their money because that's what they are paid to say.
Well, you gotta also think like a lot and I'm not backing anything that, whatever the hedge funds do or anything like that. Obviously, they're there for like some quote unquote market balance. But at the same time, you still have to think that, when it comes to, CNBC, when they do put out any type of information, yes, they might be getting some type they're always getting some type of like something in their pocket to mention a stock, because then these stocks start moving higher, which goes on to the next stock, which is IPOE.
Yeah.
So IPOE, this is another one, right? That is a SPAC, first and foremost. If you're not familiar with SPACs, that's a special purpose acquisition company. So this has been the trend since the middle of last year, I want to say, probably even towards a little bit of the end of April, May, right? Where you will have these companies that don't go the traditional IPO route, where you need to have some type of bank backing by like a public bank. Now, what's going to happen is that they end up using these venture capitalists who have these shell companies that are being used to, transition a private company into a public company so that they can, make, generate income from the market. So that's what IPOE is. This is supported by Chamath Palihapitiya, and he was a former director, or he was on the board of Facebook before. He is totally in when it comes to investing. He had his last one was a healthcare company. It was called IPOC. It was a healthcare company, which is funny to me. And then this one is SoFi, right? SoFi, as we know, is a fintech that help people with their loans, whether it's student loans or it's, I think, other financial loans. And they're also trying to do a little bit more in the banking industry, right? So this company is trying to find a way to, well, not this company, SoFi is trying to find a way to make sure that banking becomes a lot more easier than the traditional ways that have been going on. We can say the same thing about PayPal, Square, Stripe, all these other companies. They're all trying to figure out a way to get away from these major financial institutions. So IPOE, which has a lot of clamor, saying that there's supposed to be a merger of these companies happening soon. I don't know if it's going to happen. I like to think of Merger Monday as a term. So I'm just kind of waiting, but I did buy some contracts in this right before the close. I think I bought it in towards the last hour here. Just waiting for it essentially to break up higher. Now, well, do I know that it's going to break up higher? Let's go back to what Fitz said about market sentiment. We're still using this whole market sentiment thing, but it also matches some of my indicators. Like it's when I scanned for it, Kareem, I haven't forgotten. When I scanned for this, I wasn't really particularly interested just because the float size was way too big. The float size is 100 million shares. Like I said, I like half of that size. But because of who's backing it and what they're bringing out into the market, I can level my risk to go a little bit higher, to go a little bit in on this. This is like the hour chart, so I anticipating it going overbought. I anticipating it making a new high in the pre-market hours, but I also anticipate this coming back down once the market opens, exactly the same way that that I saw on FUBO. It already made a new high in the pre-market the day before. So once it makes a new high, this is typically the same thing that happens over and over and over again. Once a new high is created, it always comes back down. It always come back to at least the 20. And if it touches the 20, it's going to try to touch the 200. It didn't on this case, but once the new high is made, it always, I haven't seen a case where it did not make a new high and it didn't come back to test the 20 SMA. So that's on any time frame.
In the meantime, you're talking. I'm watching Bloomberg, and they say silver is off with a bang for the new week.
Right. That's what I was saying. Like it was
silver,
up.
Yeah, all silver is up. Finally,
because it wasn't up when I first looked at it, and now it was up.
Yeah, Reddit is killing them.
So we just got. I don't know if it's going to come back to 25.55. I doubt that it will fill this gap.
No, I see SLV US one here, 24.9. I see I like $8.49 there.
Yeah.
Wow.
I got a question. Is anybody looking at CCIV?
I am in that. I am in CCIV.
Okay.
They're supposed to bring in Lucid Motors. This is another SPAC. They're supposed to bring in Lucid Motors.
Right.
Motors. I think that the CEO used to work with Tesla. So now he's been sending out tweets laughing at Tesla over stupid shit. I don't know why. But that's just, you know, being petty billionaires. They can
Yeah,
do
don't play with Elon. Don't play with Elon Musk, you know. Don't play with that guy. That's not a
Right.
good guy to play with. Because
Right.
all you need to do is a text on Reddit, and that boom, that's it.
Correct. Yeah, because that's, you know, I think Elon Musk said something about Dogecoin
Yes.
on Thursday, and then
And
it
it
just
went
went
up.
higher, right?
And Jeff Bezos said he was going to put it on Amazon too.
And it's going on DoorDash.
And on DoorDash?
Yeah, and on Pornhub.
On Pornhub?
And on Pornhub?
Yeah,
Oh yeah, everybody's going to be grabbing them.
yeah.
Man.
The doggy coin made the tip people.
Wow.
Wow.
Shit. I ain't mad. I need to get some Dogecoin now.
But
Get the
it's-
dog, man.
It's going out the roof right now.
Yeah.
I always have a little bit of it in my wallet because it's a good indicator of what's happening, but it's going
Smart.
crazy right now.
I had 25,000 of them. I sold them the week before everything started happening.
Oh, you just
Oh, no.
hold on to it just a little bit at least.
Yeah.
So it's really worth holding on to a couple of Dogecoin then.
Just some, because this happens.
XRP too.
XRP, no, I don't know. I keep on, like, I went to
XRP, I would let go of personally.
Really?
Hated in the industry.
If the lawsuit goes through and they win, then it's going to shoot up.
True.
Maybe it's just it's not the it's a centralized crypto and people will probably hate on it.
Okay.
That would be the only, you know, like there is still like a financial politics going on, and there's decentralization and centralization.
That's what I see.
They could make the price of XRP anything they want if they decide to.
So it could be less than a penny, right?
Yeah, because it's supposed to be used as a tool to transfer, just like, you know, making it easy to transfer money.
Okay.
But it gets inflated. But they could change it at any time if it's going crazy. And I guess that's not why there is a lawsuit, but you know, like it would be, it's at a nice price now. It's probably, you know, it always has room to grow, like we're saying, but you know, be the pig or the hog. And
so hold up. So like, is it on Coinbase?
XRP, I think, is off Coinbase now. It's not allowed on it.
XRP was taken off of Coinbase. It was taken off of most platforms. You can get it on Uphold though. You could get Dogecoin on Uphold as well.
On where?
Uphold.
Uphold. Oh,
Yeah. But then you gotta just make sure that you can get your money off of there. People said they was having problems with them verifying banks.
If you want it, you should just use the converters. I think there's one like Foxify or something. And it'll just like, oh, I want to have Ethereum turn to Doggy or Doggy turn to XRP or whatever, and it'll convert it and put it in your wallet.
Oh wow.
Who is that?
I believe that's Foxify, but I haven't done those in a while. But Foxify is a big one. But you just want to look for a crypto like converter, and it'll like, you know, you have your wallet, you set up a Doggy wallet on your computer or wherever, and then you tell it to convert it.
I had an Exodus wallet that was, but they're not letting, a couple of the wallets aren't letting you convert right now either.
Oh wow, yeah, not within the wallet. I'm saying this is an outside.
Okay, got you.
Outside app.
Got you.
Oh wow.
I gotta look into that.
Yeah. So you enlightened us, and I appreciate that, because Uphold I've never even heard of before. So that's something I'll have to look into as well, because as many as these like altcoins that are available, can imagine that there's going to be another Dogecoin in there somewhere.
Oh yeah.
I can totally imagine that. I know CCIV was asked about, like I said, I could see this also going higher. Kareem, you asked about scanning. Scanning stocks is probably like, you know, one of the biggest things that you can ever do, right? But you have to understand what your strategy is. What is it that you're looking for, right? So I know what I'm looking for. This is how I set up my pretty much my scans. I come to the scan tab here. I don't know how it's done on other platforms.
Sorry to interrupt. What are you using to do that scan with?
This is
Fitzroy.
someone mute their mic. Someone mute their mic. And who asked the question? Like,
I asked the question. I said, what are you using to do scans with?
okay, so I can give you two.
Fitzroy.
It's either Fitz or it's JoJo B. It's one of the two.
It's not me. Mine is off.
It's Fitzroy. Might go look crazy.
Let me figure it out. Oh, okay, so as far as scanning, right? When I do the scans, I typically use my Thinkorswim platform, right? I'm just now starting to twinkle with adding technicals on the scanners, like the moving averages. And sometimes it doesn't give me the best ones that I want on the hour chart. It doesn't, not all the time. Sometimes it does, not all the time. But what I mainly focus on are the floatable, the float size, which is on the Thinkorswim platform, is called shares, right? It's not called float size. I don't know why. That's just how they do it. So I look at, I have my min and my max, my min and my maximum. So minimum is about 2 million. I switched this recently and put it to 40, but I tend to go back and forth. Usually I go about to 80 million. So I had 80 million as the top, right? Then I look at volume. My volume, I try to start around 500,000. Mainly reason why I say 500,000 is because that's when you start to get the bubble up of the stocks, like, or the volume of the stock, where it starts bubbling up. Maybe it was already trading an average of 300,000. Then it started trading 500,000. Now it's becoming, that's his average volume now. So now it's starting to be his first indicator. Then the next day it might trade 1 million. Then it might trade, 1.5 million, 2 million. And then that's, so like, I like to start down there. And then my max, I put it around 200 million, just because, you have GameStop, right? And that's the volume. So, and then the next one is the actual, the price change, the percentage change. I look for the percentage change. I'll typically look for 5%. Once the stock has hit 5%, that typically means that it can carry that same momentum, that same energy into the very next day. Now, there's times like Dave and Buster's, which is pure trash. Listen, if you ever get a chance to look at Dave and Buster's, during the day, it might spike up, but towards the close of the day, like around the 3 p.m. time frame, it might pull back. It's a pure bitch. I hate it. But like it might pull back on you. So you might have some stocks that might be 5% on the day or higher, but it might end the day like 2% up, right? Or 1%, right? And then I look for a price, a reasonable price. I put down 15 cents because I know that some people don't trade stocks above $5. So when I do try to tell people about some stocks, I try to give them something that's like near $1. I don't really trust a lot of them underneath $1, just because I know they can be manipulated, but I still, give a chance. If it's technically sound, then I'm like, okay, maybe 60 cents or 80 cents or something like that. And then max is usually $100. Usually once it goes past $100, I'm like, if I wasn't in it already, I missed it. But I still put $100 anyway. But those are typically the ones. This is how I typically do it. You can do the same thing on FinViz. I think FinViz is just as good at doing the same type of scan. When you come to FinViz, I'll show you. It runs a lot of data too. And another good thing about FinViz, when you scroll all the way down, not on this company, but usually when you scroll all the way down, you will get the balance sheet. You will get, if there was insider buying or selling. So this is usually a good tool to help you identify if, what has been happening in the background if you're not going to the SEC website to do a background check on the company. So with FinViz, what we'll do, we'll go to the homepage. Oh, sorry, should have gone to the screener page. I'm sorry. So we'll go to the screener page, and on the screener page, we can break it down by sector. You can break it down by industry, float, the short percentage on a float. You can do it by earnings date. You can do it by price. I tend to, keep it on any on the sector in the industry. The short percentage, I usually tend to go for under 20%. The float size, like I said before, I really want that float to be under 50. I would love that. Like, that's pure, that's prime right there. Then price, we can click on price and say under 10, under 20. What did it say under 20? All these damn pop-ups. And we're gonna look at our outstanding shares. So they might have outstanding shares. Let's say, no, I don't really care about outstanding shares. I care about price.
Have you heard of trade ideas?
Yes, I know trade ideas. I'm familiar.
Okay.
Wow, what's up?
I think it's I was gonna say it's a great tool, but too expensive. But if people are into active trading, that's a great tool to use.
Yeah,
Like if you are day trading, you need a lot of information quickly.
Yeah, so trade ideas is good for that because it does all the artificial intelligence for you. It's machine learning, so it pushes that data right to your PC in milliseconds.
Okay.
See,
But it's not free.
Go ahead.
I'll say, but it's not free.
Yeah.
Right. They do give out emails. Because I think I still get like their emails every once in a while. I might look to see, based on whatever the title is on the email. But you can scan these stocks literally on your own and find them. It's just finding what works for you. And it always really begins with identifying chart patterns, right? Once you see the chart patterns, like what we talked about at the very beginning with the Wyckoff pattern, it becomes easier. And then you'll see that there's little patterns in that will help us out. I'm on Scrib. I was going to show you a book that has all these patterns that you can be able to use on your own time. Because I do want to get into what other stocks that people are looking at too. So if you have a stock that you want to analyze now, let's start going over that stuff. I know we talked about CCIV, IPOE,
SNDL.
What was that?
SNDL.
SNDL. That sounds so familiar. Why is it?
And this is on a whole nother note, but if any of y'all got Clubhouse later tonight, Elon Musk is getting on at 10 o'clock.
Oh shit. Sundial.
Yeah,
Right?
that was one of them that Robinhood shut down on Thursday.
Really?
Right,
Yeah.
I had it before Robinhood was even talking about it.
Wow.
That is one of them that is heavily shorted too.
Yeah, I can tell.
So I have a nice amount of stock in there.
Technically, it looks great. Technically, it looks fantastic. It traded 2 billion shares on Thursday. Where did you trade? Man, 1 billion. So it seems like the volume is coming. Not really. It's still.
Did you know that was the same thing they used to do with fuel cell though?
They used to do what?
The same way they used to short fuel cell.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the same way they used to do it, like what they do Sundial, and look what happened now.
Yeah, Fuel Cell came out with earnings last week. and I think it held above. Yeah, it's $20. Um, this was another one that I wanted after earnings. I was thinking about getting it on this day, and I didn't. But I don't know. Like it still looks like it's trying to go up higher. It might consolidate. It has a heavy
Yeah.
red day here, so I don't know if it's going to come down and test $18.
Yeah, it was doing well Thursday and Friday, but because of the market fall, that's why it came down. But whenever plug go up, the both of them go up together.
There you go. The plug looked like it wants to pull back, but it should come to this $57 area near, maybe hold 59, $60, but it crossed.
Jag X is another good one. That's a long term.
I remember this one. I hated this one when this was like one of the first stocks that I traded when I first was like, I want to trade stocks. Which one should I trade? And I saw this Jag because it was under $1. And I don't know why I thought of it, but
Never lucky with it.
it's tough because this is another heavily shorted stock.
Yeah.
But right now it does have some break. This is ugly. How are you even in this? Who's holding this?
It's squeezing.
It's squeezing, but damn.
Yeah, so you keep it until you break out of that squeeze.
We had years. We're finding some liberation now.
Yeah. Whenever that guy break out, you're gonna be to the moon.
Facts, because it's going to retest this $4 area. So I don't mind. I technically it looks like it could go higher here as it's holding with 290-ish, 280-ish. And it looks like it's holding that. If it holds that, then it can only go higher. But if it breaks down below 290, then it's definitely going down to the lower prices. But we can see
But
right
look at
here.
the MACD though. The MACD is showing that it's losing
Momentum.
It's losing momentum.
Correct.
Oh, it came out of the squeeze already.
Correct. So like that's what I'm saying. If it can hold,
wait until it turn. You have to wait until it turn.
so if it can hold this because sometimes like it will turn down like this, and then it's just waiting for it to hold that support. But if it turns down and it can't hold the support, then it's definitely going to go lower to the 200. But I can understand why you would have bought or held on to this. It's looked like it wants to break out, but it still has it's losing some steam.
And I don't have BlackBerry, but I heard that BlackBerry is going to be like, it's not going to go up like this, like how all these other stocks up, but I heard that it's eventually going to be like the next Tesla.
Well, James, do you?
Yeah, I mean, I think I was looking into
they
it
want
before.
to put BlackBerry stuff into cars, and since BlackBerry lost the whole phone thing, they want to put it into cars now.
It's in over like 175 million cars, and it's growing, and they're making deals with every major company.
Right.
Yeah.
But I don't know how, there's a lot of competition in that arena, and they aim at the higher end market, which is good, but it's its own world. Like they've always operated in government and business, and that's their specialty, and that's what they're selling. So it's like that area of the market, which will expand, like government will grow and businesses are growing. So it's a good market, but in terms of like how high it can go, it just was crazy. It just got pumped up to the WSB, whatever, and it'll come back to some reality.
I heard you talk about it last week, right?
Yeah.
Mm.
Yep.
But one of the funny thing about it, I saw this one KOSS last week.
Yeah.
I was looking at it and I'm saying it looked good, man. And I was just about to buy it, and somehow I went to work and didn't buy it, not knowing that that was one of the one that they were looking on Reddit.
Oh yeah, it was on Reddit. I got rid of it when it went crazy, but
yeah, but it looked good on the chart. But I couldn't.
It looked good, but it went. That's not that good.
No, it's not that good.
That's too good. It's still just BlackBerry.
Thanks.
Now, what y'all was saying about BlackBerry?
Well, I was getting it as an investment
last week,
but then it got hit on Reddit and it was time to get out because it's not meant to be right there.
It's not at all.
Yeah.
Not at all.
No,
They need
there's
to come down
there's
that.
no way. I mean, maybe next Tesla. That sounds a little. No, not the next Tesla. It's
Yeah.
Canada, man.
Well, they not as the next.
No, I'm
Tesla.
just saying it's Canada. Like they
Right.
chill about the way they do their business. They have like sensible businesses.
They said like in the next few years it should be like up to $800 or something like that. Like high like Tesla. Just
Yeah,
that,
well.
all these little I guess internet investors.
Well, the internet investors don't know anything. They're just saying they're gaming, and then all the CEOs of BlackBerry sold their stocks, and they'll
Yeah, because
buy it.
BlackBerry. Because
Was
speaking
that-
from a technology standpoint, once BlackBerry lost this mobile war, BlackBerry is basically done in the IT sector.
Well, they're good. They have enterprise systems. So, and for government levels, it's still used, and that will
Yeah, but
grow in security. Like it, yes, they lost all that, but they concentrated into a smaller, compact company, engineering and software.
And that's the problem. Like right now, Microsoft is trying to fizzle out a lot of these mobile companies with their mobile
Yeah, but
devices and
Microsoft
mobile
is, it's like BlackBerry's always an elite. It's above Microsoft.
that was about 10 years ago.
No,
when they had the
forever.
best-
I mean, they still been used.
Look
they
at the
have
numbers
their
of
tools.
if you look at BlackBerry's quarterlies, they're not making headway anymore, man.
No, they're not making headway,
No.
but they just
They
made a
won't-
lot of money.
They made a big mistake. And in talking from a communications and IT side, they didn't foresee Apple and Microsoft stepping into that arena.
Mhm.
And once that happened, that was it. They lost it.
Okay.
Interesting. As I'm looking at BlackBerry right now, this is what's being shared is the FinViz portion. And remember, this is BlackBerry. You slide all the way down. The float is only 7%. The short float, and the float size is 555 million. But I can see why James would even have any type of apprehension of selling it, because there was also insider selling
Mhm.
happened at $13, right? So this is why I like FinViz, because you get to see all of this, and then the SEC form is right beside it too, so you can actually look at the SEC filing. So but congratulations on the great win. Actually, you and Fitz, congratulations on your great wins with
Yeah.
BBBY and BlackBerry. That is, when you have stocks that everyone says to the moon. Like, I don't know if you've seen these rocket ships right here. They say that on everything. So everyone on the internet, they know that the stock is going to go higher, right? Because they said it's going to go higher.
Mhm.
We don't know if the stock is going to higher, but we can prepare for it to go up or down. And the key is
But the catalyst. So that's what I want to ask you. So we're saying this is based on catalyst of social media, but not real,
Mhm.
not a real catalyst per se, like earnings, R&D, nothing of that nature,
No, it's
right?
based on the spur of the moment, because the stock price is going up. You get it, and then you're supposed to sell it. But yeah, people just going crazy. It has nothing to do with any rhyme or reason.
Well, you sell into the meat of the move. That
That's the reason. The
That-
move.
when it starts to go up, you find the point where there's resistance there, and you can sell into that supply. I did a video before we talked about the demand and the supply. And as we look at Snapchat here, because that's one of the stocks that's on earnings, just like how we broke down Starbucks last week, we should probably do the same thing here, right? Where this stock is actually trading above its moving averages for now, right? Their earnings come out on Thursday. What happens typically is that a stock will run up before earnings. So we're going to anticipate Snapchat to do better before their earnings come out. Now, this is going back to what Fitz was saying with market sentiment. We have this market sentiment where everyone is just purely bullish. They're bullish and they don't even know why they're bullish. They're just bullish because their cousin, their neighbor, whoever is bullish, right? So they don't know anything about the numbers behind this. So like what Kareem is saying, you know, when you get real true catalysts, you'll get something on the earnings call. Before, you know, Snapchat came down on this day when it made its new high, like I said, it makes a new high. What does it do? It's going to come back down. Came back to its support. Like it was impervious to all of anything that Donald Trump was saying, anything that political news was saying. It was not, it was undisturbed. Same thing with Pinterest. Pinterest was running the same way, relatively undisturbed. If we know anything that we have learned tonight is consolidation. And we see that this, just like Snapchat, they both have been consolidating. If they stay undeterred by anything that government officials will say related to, you know, the Capitol riots, related to, you know, political stances on Facebook, Twitter, you know, even on Amazon, like if it was stay impervious to it, these things will go higher. Pinterest has only been going higher. Like it doesn't, it's unfazed by anything political. And as if we look at Twitter, opposite, right? It's been like a bumpy ride. It's been a real bumpy ride, right? It's been going higher, but it's been a real bumpy ride. We don't know when these downturns are really coming. Right now, it's on its upside. Well, maybe Twitter might come out with some news, but they're definitely coming out with earnings, right? So they're coming out with earnings next Tuesday. So when they come out with their earnings, they might go higher. We don't know. But we do know is that we can stay prepared by finding the downside and the upside on these charts. I want to go back to that JAG. There's something about it. Who was in this? Who was in this position? I don't know who said they were in JAG. Like, I want to know the news.
That was me. That was me. My bad. I was trying to find the button.
I hate when that happens. Because I'm looking, oh, because it has to maintain compliance. Ah, got it. I understand now. So so who was that? JoJo?
Yeah.
And so thank you again for coming. And thank you everyone for really taking out their time. I try not to stay on too long, but you know, we have charts like this that really show the power of news. All right. And this is what Kareem was talking about. On the 22nd, they regained their compliance with the NASDAQ, keeping that dollar. Right. So this was last week. They have kept their compliance now. And they had to maintain above $1. Usually when you do this whole compliance thing, you have to maintain that compliance for like 6 months. I want to say it's about 6 months.
All vehicles are going up too. You know, Biden signed the thing for the fleet.
So that's what they're doing. They're part of the
That's part of the fleet. So JAG-X, XL fleet, IDEX.
Yes, IDEX. Okay, yeah,
all of those people are Workhorse. So Workhorse is going to take over all the mail trucks and FedEx trucks and shit like that.
I'm in Workhorse.
IDEX is going to take over all the public transportation. Tesla is taking over all the police cars, all the law enforcement.
Really?
Shit.
Yeah.
What about space?
SpaceX is going to go up as well. Not SpaceX, Virgin Space. They're going to go up as well. They got something coming up. I don't know exactly what it is, but it's coming up. and I don't know exactly what it is, but I know Elon just put out a tweet about that. So it's something behind it, but he doesn't really, you know what I mean? He don't talk. He just puts out little pictures and make you guess.
Yeah, he can't talk anymore. He was
Right.
the SEC told him to shut up a year and a half ago. But I think space, I agree. Space is one of those that should be going up. They also have a
How's that look?
short.
I mean, what's the future on that one?
I remember last week it was being spoken of that space will be in a like an index with other aerospace companies.
Nice.
So
They're supposed to have a launch coming up.
They're supposed to have a launch coming up too.
Right. They're about to send somebody up to some space station. So that's probably another reason why they're talking about it.
Okay.
Looks cool.
That's one. Oh yeah.
Are you talking about SpaceX or the Virgin space?
Space, no, Virgin one, the Galactic.
Galactic, okay. So don't be surprised if a Tesla goes down again. Elon Musk violated an FAA rule again for his other company, SpaceX.
I can see that.
Yeah, Elon Musk SpaceX violates its FAA launch license, prompting investigation.
I don't think Elon cares about being fined.
Nah, he got free money.
But this is not him being fined, it's SpaceX being fined.
SpaceX. Oh. Space always has it can get, you know, volatile. It's usually comes back down and then comes back up.
Yeah, space is very volatile.
Yeah.
I remember
yeah, you know, you remember we've spent time with it.
Yeah. I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah. It does always keep going up, but you don't know what moment you're in.
Facts.
Caterpillar is going to go up too.
That makes sense.
They're trying to get electric fleets as well.
Yeah, their earnings come out tomorrow, right? Or no, they came out already. No, they came out on Friday. So they beat their earnings. They beat earnings. But this is, you know, like what Fitz was saying, you know, you get your fundamentals behind it. They had a good earnings beat, but they were still down.
But they're still down, right?
Right. And it could be also, remember, we have to still think that the market was also down on Friday. But
even though they beat their earnings, Jermaine, it could be that the expectation that the institutions wanted them to have, they didn't meet. So that's what happened to a company called Nutanix. I don't know if NTNX. I don't know if you want to look at that company. So not this earnings preview, but the ones prior, they hit their earnings, but then they tanked because the institutional investors were like, you didn't hit what we wanted you to hit. Correct.
And then the institutional investors buy up those shares after it tanks.
Correct. So it's all ploy.
And so that's the thing about like earnings, because you know, I know Fitz and I will go back and forth on like how they like to manipulate the prices. We said that about balance here. And they're like, their earnings, it's great, looks amazing, still tanks.
Yep, every time.
Every time.
That's gift season.
Yep. It's like buy them while they low. Because they're gonna run.
I got a question. This question I've been trying to ask everybody this. So being that certain things in the market are going up and it's forcing other things to go down in the market, why isn't anybody betting against the market?
Because you'll be stupid to bet against the market right
There's
now.
trillions of dollars going into it.
Yeah.
And everyone and their grandma has a stimulus card.
Gotcha.
And the rest of the world, like some countries are doing well. And like China owns a lot of the, you know, they gamble on the market.
I was on the Chinese market earlier today and the Singapore market. They're doing way better than us.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are. Yeah,
Jermaine, check this other one out.
Singapore's doing
Car,
great.
Yeah, Singapore doing great.
CARR.
oh, that car, yes. CAR. Yeah,
That company deals with is basically carrier ventilation.
yes.
They're R&Ding ways to combat COVID in hospitals and big facilities.
Mm.
I'm familiar with this one. You brought it up. I even did a little review on it when you first brought it to my attention back in October. And it did. It went up to like the $41 area, and it retested that $41 area again.
Yep.
So it's right here. And this is the prime point. We want this pullback. And since we got this pullback before earnings, we have what, a couple of days before earnings. This is the, what day is this? This is the 9th. And so we have relatively about 8 days for this price to break $41. I don't know if it will do it or not, but I will say, Kareem, that when you have charts like this, where it's relatively a brand new company, the only thing it's going to do is just run up, and there's not going to be an end in sight. We'll use some examples of RUN, brand new company, kind of just runs up just because it has nothing else better to do, and it'll just run out of sight. Also, we'll use Roku, same thing, brand new company. All you have to do is just wait, just let it run, let it rip, and that's what it'll do. I even bought a couple of shares and sold it because I was like, let me test out a strategy. What was another one? There was another one that did the same exact thing. There's so many. When they're brand new companies, they tend to move higher. But I know you're trying to look at what they anticipate before earnings. It's bouncing off its lows. It's consolidating, coming down, but the price is still above its exponential moving average. So this could go higher. Would I bet against ventilation systems in the coronavirus season, especially with a variant strain that's supposed to be more stringent? Which brings me to another point. Shouldn't there be new protocols since we have a new strain that's supposed to be killing people at will, at all will? So talking about the Brazilian strain and the South African strain. So I don't know what Merck and Pfizer and everyone's going to say during their earnings call concerning that, but having a good ventilation system, I think, is always great to have. I can only see this one going higher just because that's what it has been doing since its inception. Really. Right now it's below the 200 SMA on the hour. So let's say for some odd reason it doesn't break the 200 SMA, and it can go down lower, but it's still holding support at this $35 area, even at $36, $37, $36.90, $37. So we can see if it breaks up higher, but it will have to break over this 200 SMA to go higher, and this is on the hour. Once they consolidate here, it will go higher, because that's what it does. When all the moving averages coalesce into one point, it goes higher. Prime example right here. This was January 5th. Another prime point over here. This was back in November 2nd. So when the moving averages come together, they tend to spike up higher. It kind of did a fake out breakout here, but it still went up higher gradually. Yeah, so like that one's a good one. That one's a good one. I think Nokia. Go ahead, sorry.
No, go ahead. Finish this statement.
No, I was going to go. I was thinking about the space again with Nokia because I think that they're providing something with the satellites in space.
Yeah. Okay. My next question was it has nothing to do with these stocks that are going on. They're upcoming stocks, a couple of upcoming IPOs. So what are y'all? Anybody like thinking about getting into the Roblox thing that's about to happen?
I'm thinking about that.
And then the whole monogram thing. Is anybody into that?
The which one?
Monogram. It might be coming out of what is the name of his thing, man?
MoneyGram?
Monogram. Jay-Z's thing. Jay-Z's thing.
Oh,
What's the thing called,
is
man?
that the weed one?
The parent company is his clearinghouse.
I got you.
Oh man, yeah, it's Monogram though. Monogram is Jay-Z's marijuana line.
The woman that is that's supporting him, she gave an interview last week and she was high as fuck, son. She was high as
Oh shit.
She was like, "Yeah, man, we're doing great." And then the guy was like, "You want to elaborate?" Nah.
Yeah, I want to know like where we can make money off of that. I don't care about the rest of it.
I'm trying to remember, looking for that.
But the Roblox one is definitely like something to look into.
I like Roblox.
What's that one?
It's like a virtual reality with like Lego type world.
Right.
It's like a mixture of games, and you can buy things and do.
And you could create your own games.
Create your own games, and
you could create any game that's out in like a Lego style.
Yeah, there's one in Decentraland, which is a crypto one, and that was really interesting. Yeah, exactly.
That's about to be crazy too. It's another
that one is very interesting.
Coming out with VR.
Exactly.
Where you can buy like the land and all that shit, and people can like you gotta I don't know if you could like charge people for.
Yeah, you can like build your own room or island and have a DJ and an art gallery, have a movie theater, and bring people in and sell some stuff.
That's gonna be the real life Sims.
Exactly.
And
it's all like, it's not owned by a company. That's their main idea. It's owned by the people.
Somebody gonna get plugged in and stuck in the matrix.
Yeah. Well, this is the Jay-Z stock that you're referring to, that they'll read GRAMF. It's an OTC stock right now. OTC is this over-the-counter stock. It's just stocks that you really don't get like financial. They don't have to essentially. They don't have to release any financial reports. Essentially, at the end of the day, that's what an OTC.
Oh, wow.
So all the like SEC statements and stuff like that, they don't necessarily have to give one, only unless there's like really insider like activity that needs to be made aware. But right now, I would wait. I would wait for it to find some support because it's creating a new low. I don't know what's going to do tomorrow, but I do know that was it Scott's Miracle Grow? I believe they're coming out with earnings this week too. So, and everyone's going to need some fertilizer.
Right. So me and my brother were talking about the Scott's Miracle Grow thing like 5-6 years ago, before all of this even started. We're just like, yo, who do you think is going to take over like the whole fertilizing cannabis and all that stuff? It has to be Scott's because they're the leading fertilizer type people out. So they have to come in here somewhere and take over eventually.
They would have to. Like, I don't see anyone else.
There's no competition.
Let's check. Let's check.
Yeah, because they are a wild stock as well. Plus with organic movements or whatever. I don't know, like that stock is always moving crazy.
This is Scott's Miracle Grow. This is another thing about this website. Wow, the float is actually lower than I thought. 2% short float. This is the industry that it's in. It's agricultural inputs, basic materials. So if they were to have any competitors in their industry, it would be these companies. Seed, I remember them. I think they're out of China. Yep, they're out of China. So like, this is something it'll tell you which country, the market cap. Now you can always, I think you can modify, the title on the top of the grid. But at the end of the day, I like this part of this of FinViz, where you can put the cursor over the ticker symbol and see what the possible chart says for that company, without having to click on in and coming back out and seeing what else is available. You can see if it's an uptrending chart or if it's a downtrending chart, right? Like CTVA, that's a downtrending chart right now.
Nice.
So I like seeing little things like that. But as far as Scott's Miracle Grow, there you are. All right. So this is where it is. On its volume traded 351,000 on Friday, which is not bad. But as far as the industry is concerned, MBII was the only one that was green on Friday. So I don't know, but I'll just click on it just to see what it says. Just to see what it did and why. But I could see, Scott's Miracle Grow
For sure.
continuing to be some type of influence in the weed industry. Okay. Let's see this insider buying first. Now they exercise their options. So I don't know if any of the insiders, being a director consultant, if the price is going to stay up. It doesn't look like it will stay up. It looked like it will go down.
Would you be able to find out any information on the Roblox IPO? It's supposed to go live this month sometime.
Roblox. See, now that one I do not know about. Let's see. You said Road.
ROBLLOX or UX. I don't know.
Okay, I see it online. This is it?
Yeah.
That looks like what y'all were describing. I was thinking like, what? Like, what's going on?
It's like a lo-fi gaming.
IPO date. Let's see if anything comes up. This was on the 24th. Roblox hold off on IPO. Following scrutiny.
GameStop slowed them down.
Probably.
No one wants to get out here with the flash mobs.
Nah. They're going to wait for it to cool down a little bit. So the company registered for a direct listing following the path of companies such as Slack and Spotify. They went on a straight. See, now when they do the direct listing, I feel like that's so much harder because Spotify, it took them forever to break 150. Like they were $100.50 shares, $100.50, $150 a share for a while. Like they weren't moving. Now they started moving because Joe Rogan and the Kardashian woman, what's her name?
Yeah, they had to get their shit in order.
Facts. So maybe, I don't know. This is early this month, Roblox raised $520 million on the funding around, led by Altimeter Capital and Dragoneer Investment Group. So an investment group of Santa Barbara, California, Warner Music Group, along with several Warner Music Group. Oh, okay. Well, probably they have the music in the background, I would imagine, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. But right now, it looks like there's a hold off on it. And this was reported on Friday. I don't know. So it could be just like with the fintech company that I think it was Alibaba that was coming out, Jack Ma, before he disappeared. But it could be kind of like that. Was it Ant? Like Ant Financials?
Ant.
Yeah.
Dead ant.
A dead ant. Yeah, it's a dead ant right now. So I don't know. It could be that. It could be the fact that it's, it just needs to have some like more background information on.
China's trying to look more regulated compared to the crazy Wild West. And I think they're trying to like set this, like, we're doing it right. Don't get this, this is we do it right. Because they have their own machine that they're spinning.
Wow. Well, they have their own machine, which I would think their scrutiny probably is a lot stronger, right? Especially today. Like, today.
It's like I've been looking into the digital IDs, and I was wondering about how they deal with getting the vaccine. Like, basically, you don't even need a card. Like, I asked my parents, they got one. It was like a paper card. They wrote their name and date on it. But out there, you just walk to the hospital. Your phone calls you, tells you what floor to go to, and you show up, and the computer reads your face.
Wow.
And it's all logged and tracked, like hooked
That's
up.
the technology.
That's the technology. That's where they're at with all that
That's
shit.
what China was working on with Amazon. The whole facial recognition shit. That's
Their AI is like insane.
Yeah, I got a friend that works at Amazon that say, yo, that inside of the buildings, what they're doing in there is crazy.
Mm.
Wow.
The facial recognition and all that stuff. It's just like the ones in China. Like, you cross the street in China, the billboard might fucking turn on and say, yo, you're jaywalking.
Wait.
Yeah. They just had a video with all that shit showing you all the technology that they're coming out with. The whole facial recognition shit. Yo, they can tell you if you're fucking crossing the street, and they'll stop you.
Not good.
At all.
Not good.